check QSC out. Their intro song came up. We have come a long way. We have come a long way. It started off with some interesting 70s, like X-rated music, if you will, and then it has progressed from there. So now that was very funky. I like it. I like it. Good job. So we have a little bit of a delay, I know, on the Facebook page versus where we are. So we're just letting people file in. Hello to the viewers out there. Thank you for those who have joined us before.
You somebody hear a little echo?
Ooh, echo, yeah.
Is there an echo?
I don't hear it now.
No echo?
Sorry about that.
Good. Testing.
Making sure we're good.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Sounds good.
Are we good? We're good, guys?
Yeah. Good to go.
It might be somebody's speaker in the background or something like that too. So if it comes back, feel free to let us know. We're DJs, guys. We're audiophiles. We're going to catch these little things.
Sorry about that.
Happens. Hey, it's okay. You know what? I appreciate it. We need it. Thank you. My heart sank for a minute. I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, it's all good. But no, it's all. This is 2020 and 2021 where we're dealing with technology. You have to learn to go with the flow and just do what you can. It's a live show all the time, I feel. But shout out to the viewers out there that have viewed with us before. Shout out to the new viewers. We have a couple of new faces on the panel today. We are going international. We have DJ Jayli. I want to call her by her first name, but I promised I would say the DJ name. So DJ Jayli out of London. Go ahead and get us kicked off here with the intros. Let us know where you're from and a little more about yourself.
Okay, well, so QSC I met, I'm not sure if you guys know the Rattle. Are you part of the Rattle? So the Rattle is like this amazing thing for artists where they can all connect, a little bit like Soho House, but where they have music studios inside. It's pretty cool. And then I came across QSC and I've been working with them in lockdown. They sent me some amazing speakers and like playing with brands that I'm associated with, like Denon and Roden. So that's kind of like how we were collaborating and kind of like thinking outside of the box during lockdown. I've been a DJ for 10 years. I'm half Canadian, half English. So I have a bit of a twang, but you guys probably can't even hear it, but the British can. They're always like, where are you from? And yeah, I live in London and we have just found out literally yesterday that we are not coming out of lockdown on June the 21st. We are coming out of lockdown now on July the 21st, so a month later. So a bit disappointed for like loads of gigs have been moved, loads of festivals, etc. But we still have the restaurants we're allowed to DJ in, you just can't dance, and we still have to wear masks, etc. So yeah, it's not ideal, but it is what it is. And it's been an incredible journey to be able to think outside the box during lockdown. I was like, right, I'm going to start teaching people how to DJ. So now I have 10 students across the globe, so I'll do like Zooms, and then like they'll come to my house as well in London, and I do duos as well, which is great. And then also started my podcast company, like helping people with their sound design to make things sound amazing, because everybody started podcasts in lockdown, and I was like, they want to sound great, so that's what I kind of created off the back of lockdown. So I'm so grateful for that. Lockdown did so good for me. So yeah.
Awesome. And then in relation to QSC probably helped that podcast and all that. I'm sure it helped you sound amazing. So that's awesome. Great. And I was speaking about this a little off camera, but here it is Pride Month. I don't know if you guys are you celebrating Pride Month over there in London?
We do.
In June. All right, awesome, perfect. So speaking of Pride Month, I am, and most people who know me, I specialize in LGBTQ events and weddings. I'm also a very proud and out lesbian. Happy Pride to my
award-winning.
Absolutely, thank you. I just was awarded, in case anybody is wondering, I was awarded as the top wedding the most inclusive wedding DJ in the nation. So thank you very much. I got a nice little plaque for the wall.
Congratulations.
So that's awesome. So great segue to intro me. So I'm DJ Keelez, by the way, based out of Los Angeles. Super excited to be here. And again, happy Pride. And speaking of Pride, I have DJ Annalyze here, who is another very proud family member and whose meme game on Instagram is absolute. I don't even know where they come from, but so Annalyze, let us know a little bit more about yourself.
Well, let's see here. Next week will be 22 years I've been DJing. Yeah, turntablist. Let's see here. What else? I don't know, man. I've toured with like a bunch of different people. I toured with DJ Shorty. I toured with Lady Sovereign, actually, who you might know because she's English. DJ Quick and Pioneer sponsored DJ. I think that's it. And proud and out.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Yeah. No, she's an amazing turntablist. I mentor with DJ Shorty, who I know you're super close with, and they've been rocking out for way years before I met Shorty and everything like that. But Anna does some amazing things on the turntables, and definitely something to aspire to if you aren't there yet. So props to you. Every time I see you, I'm like, just the creativity is just through the roof. So
thank you.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Super excited to have you. Thank you for accepting my invitation, by the way. I really appreciate it. We're going to get a little more into all of that, but thank you and happy Pride to you. Super appreciate you being here. And you guys know these next two ladies, they rock out with us here on the DJ Discussions quite often. Twitch queens, both of them, but also amazing DJs in their own rights. The girl that is known for doing extra, always shooting those bullets out on Twitch. The real DJ, AK-47. Let them know, girl.
Hey guys, what's up? Thank you guys so much for having me again, QSC. Shout out to Chris and Hillary in the chat, and happy Pride, guys. I've been here before, so I don't have to go through the spiel, but welcome, ladies. Welcome, Jayli, Anna. I know Anna. But yeah, good to see everybody. Kris Cut, what's up?
What's up?
Awesome. All right. Yeah. So since she shouted you out, Kris Cut, let them know this is Kris Cut from Vegas.
Yes, I'm the Vegas person here. So shout out to everybody in the chat, all my mods that always show up, and my Twitch family, Sister Bird, Angie, Lila, and everyone always tuning into these. They're so supportive. I just want to say thank you guys. And again, I'm from Las Vegas. I've been a DJ. In November will be my 20th year of DJing. So me and Anna, I met Anna came out to one of my first residencies in Vegas. That was so crazy. That's how we met.
You've been DJing 20 years, Kris Cut? I didn't know that.
I started when I was 2. No, but I'm very excited to always be here. Thank you, QSC. And I'm always so happy to be representing with this amazing, strong group of women here. So thank you guys. So let's rock. I'm ready.
Absolutely. We're always glad to have you. Absolutely. Yeah, let's rock. So, okay, we touched base a little bit. So as Jayli mentioned, over there in London, they are locking things down a little more, but they're still, I think, partying in restaurants and stuff, just no dancing, still masking up. Versus us here in Los Angeles, as of yesterday, we were allowed to actually go maskless in a lot of places for vaccinations. That is, and, there's been a lot of progress here, and it's been a very interesting time. And outdoors, we're allowed to not have masks, so everybody's kind of moving on and partying for sure here in Los Angeles. And I am thrilled to see it, personally speaking, and it's definitely an interesting transition period. I think we were talking about that earlier in terms of like we have the right to walk around without a mask, but nobody really wants to get labeled. So I think we're all kind of there, right? Am I right for the LA folks out there? I think we're all just kind of.
It feels weird. It feels like I'm breaking the law.
I know, right? It's true. I'm just waiting for somebody to like yell at me, and I'm just like, okay, I'm putting it on. So, but it's interesting. I was telling them earlier, I did an event last weekend, and they, like I said, legally here we're allowed, if we're outside, to have it off and everything like that. So at one point I had to say something, and I took the mask off. I was just, okay, well, I'm allowed to do it. Let me do it. And the crowd cheered. So that's an inkling of people being ready to party. I'm going to say that they are ready to party and go. So they
are ready. Like people are lining up before, because I DJ at the Venezuela, and like by 9:00 at night, people are already lined up. I'm packed by 9:30. Like it's insane.
Oh, wow. Are they dancing and everything there?
Oh, yeah. And then I did, Whitney Mixer. I did an event for her on Sunday, and she said her Saturday night party is the same thing. She's like, by 9:00, there's literally a line around the whole building. She has a party at the W.
Oh, wow.
It's insane. People are ready.
That's awesome. Hey, that's awesome. And it's good for DJs, and as long as everybody's doing it safely and everything like that, like I said, I'm all for it. And as long as we can, keep those numbers down and do what we need to do, I'm here for it. I think we've all done our parts. I think we're all, ready to kind of do that. And hopefully, over there in London, you guys get there too, Jayli.
It's weird. Like, you know what? Because I thought we were over this, and I was like, cool, 21st, we were like booking so many weddings, and then everything's just been shifted up. And like so many people have like taken the luck and gone, right, we're going to do like a Tuesday wedding because why not? Because all the venues are being booked up in advance, etc., and there's no certainty, and so they've all had to move and shift up. And I just like there was something in the newspaper the other day. A couple, if it's moved up, they will lose £85,000 of their wedding if they can't have the wedding because they won't get their money back. So what Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister, has done, he's going, weddings can move forward, you just can't dance. So that's why they just don't like DJs. And I'm trying to move at the moment. And my mortgage guy turned around and said, the reason why they don't want to give you a mortgage is because of your career. And I was like,
Wow.
what? Yeah.
Wow.
Just because that it's an uncertain industry. And I'm like, listen, I've become a DJ teacher, and I started my sound design company as well during lockdown. So surely that's thinking outside of the box. It just doesn't make sense to me. It just physically doesn't make sense. So, but I'm really grateful for the agents that we have over here working, getting in the restaurants. Like there's so many restaurants now that are filled with like great entertainment, and we're always busy on the rooftop bars, etc. And it was actually quite funny because we didn't get our sunshine until like I think beginning of June. So in May, I'd bought gloves because you were outside for 5 hours DJing, and freaking like a woolly hat. I was like, how is this May? How is this May? This is crazy. Like freezing at like 1 a.m. in the morning DJing outside.
That's LA at night, though. Everybody knows how cold it gets here at night.
I was gonna say in LA we're such babies. Like it'll drop to like 69, and we're like we're shivering. So like you can't cold weather to us. It's like it's probably you would probably laugh at us. But I was just thinking of when we had to eat outside, we were all complaining so much because we're like it's so cold. Why do people do this? This is terrible.
Yeah.
So, I feel for you, and especially when you're DJing though, man. Your hands, people don't understand. It's a whole thing. Your body just kind of want to work.
Can't, like it's just you're just like
Yeah, I know. Your fingers, you just want it to be over. You're just like, please stop. You almost kind of want your dancer to you're like, what do I got to do to end it? It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then that's when they're like, you're on a roll.
And that's when you kill it the most. And they're like, one more song. And you're like, of course.
Oh my God.
That's so funny. But, speaking of that, Jayli, that's actually a pretty good segue into what I want to talk about. And that's terrible that they look at DJs that way. And I mean, if I could speak for us DJs, I'd say, as things are opening back up, I think that parties are just going to double and DJs will probably work that much more.
I've never been busier. Do you know what I mean?
Same.
It's just like,
Same.
it's non-stop. And like bookings are coming so easily because people want to party. The privates are coming in on the weekdays, and then you've got the weekends. And like on Saturday, I'm playing 3 venues on Saturday. I get literally like to travel, I get that hour break. That's it. I don't know when I'm going to have time to eat. The venue's going to have to feed. But it's like, it's been amazing. I'm so grateful for it. But then it's the society. They see anybody that's self-employed anyway, they have an issue with it, And I'm sure you guys have that as well. For Warren, I think it's a bit easier over in America, but the UK is just it's just really hard to get a mortgage at the moment.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, the housing it's the housing industry in general all over. It's a weird way. I think it's different, probably different issues for every place that we are. But I get it. It's crazy. The economy, right? I mean, that's a whole different discussion that we can get into. But yeah, it's a whole. No, it's good.
Yeah.
I want to actually segue into that. Speaking of, because you were talking about, why are they saying that? When I figured out what things to do and stuff like that during the pandemic, which is so true. So I know you don't know me very well. So for me, I pivoted more into doing virtual events. I actually was DJing like literal Zoom parties and corporate events and conventions and things like that. Whereas like AK and Kris Cut really took off in the Twitch world. So they have like crazy amounts of followers right now, and still to this day, like have recurring schedules and everything like that. And I kind of want to touch base on that a little bit and see. I mean, I know I've seen you guys are still killing it, but I know we touched on this a little bit, but I just want to do the update now that things are even more open than they were last time. Are things still popping off? Are the people still there? Is the interest still in Twitch? Do you see? AK, let's start with you. What are your
you know what? Interesting enough, I'm starting to have to try to figure out how to juggle how to stream because my gigs are coming in, so my schedule's getting a little, it's getting tricky. It's an adjustment for me because the streaming, I have a set schedule, and people are used to me streaming on a certain day. But yeah, it's been a little tricky for me. I've had to cancel a couple things. I don't know why I had the wild hair up my butt to get into a DJ contest, which is going extremely well, but I got all these deadlines with that. And yeah, so it's been a little bit of an adjustment for me. I'm still trying to figure it out. Like I got a wedding and a gig on Saturday. So that's crazy. Like a Juneteenth gig outside in the park. And then I got a scramble dash over to the wedding and do that. So yeah, I'm trying to figure it out, but it's been a little tricky going into it. Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, I was thinking about you guys because I know you guys, your stream schedules were so heavy, and especially you, Kris, that you had a really hardcore, actually, AK did both of you, but you both had a really hardcore set DJ schedule. And Kris, I see you working a lot more too. So are you having that same issue in terms of being able to balance both?
For me, I'm still pretty heavy on the Twitch side, and what's really great about Twitch is that it's not like I have somebody to answer to. I'm my own boss. So if it's like, hey, I have a gig, guys, I'd let the community know, hey guys, I have a gig. You can always check when I'm on, and it'll change. Some days I'm off, but they're really cool about it because Twitch, it's like the new radio. I mean, if I'm not on there, it's such a huge community that you could find somebody on. But we have our loyal, followers and the people that are loyal to our channels, and they're just so amazing and accommodating. And I'm not going anywhere. If people subscribe to me until like September or something, I'm like, well, no pressure, right? Like, no pressure to continue streaming. But
True.
I've been gigging like once a week, once every other week. So for me, like the transition has been slower, but only because I think a lot of the agencies know that I'm like doing really well on Twitch, and they're like, well, we don't have to book her as much because we see that she's doing okay. So they kind of are giving priority to the other DJs who haven't been working or who really want to work, right? So for me, it's like, if you guys have something for me, cool, but I don't I'm not on them like, I need work, because the Twitch community has been such a huge part of my life for the last year, over a year. So it's been good. I've been balancing it well, and my community is really understanding. If I'm like, hey, I have to cancel my stream because I got an in real life gig, they're like, can you stream your in real life gig? And I'm like, if I can, I'll do it. If not, it's okay. And that's another thing that's crazy is they're like, can you stream your gigs? And that's another thing we have to talk to the agencies and venues about. So
I just did a gig and they streamed from the gig like the other night at a brewery. It was dope. They had a whole company come in, set everything up, like 10 or 12 DJs, and it was all live streamed. It was dope. They put it on Twitch.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I actually just had a client book me for a 2023 wedding in Mexico that they're going to have me live stream in and set to save that. Yeah, and to save, it's saving the money in destination. I'm like, hey, I'll fly over there. But they're like, well, what about this other option? I'm like, yeah, I guess it saves you money because you don't have to pay for the travel costs. Yeah. And it saves me, granted, everybody would love to go to Mexico, but it saves me the hassle of having to go to Mexico. I just set up here and I'm good to go. So I'm like, hey, cool, that's whatever. So they ended up with me. It's a 3-hour gig. I'm going to just stream right in there. And it's going to be cool because they were like, well, we really want to like see you DJ. So we're going to put a camera on the crowd. We want you to be interactive, like be on the microphone. So I'm going to be the guy behind the curtain as everybody's DJing. So it's going to be an interesting experience. But with that being said, I think the virtual world is going to definitely incorporate itself into live events for sure. And Kris, when you said that about the agencies giving other DJs gigs, I kind of want to talk about this too. I think there might be something with people being really desperate to work and lowering their rates. Pretty crazy. Like,
oh my gosh,
so much. What the hell?
That's so crazy.
Over there? Yeah,
it's crazy. Because I had like 4 agencies I was working with prior to this, and they're calling me, but I'm turning down the gigs because the money is just like, I'm not doing all of that. After being on Twitch for a year, playing what I want to play, having kind of like being in charge of my own stuff, I restructured my business model so hard. I'm like, I'm just not available to do that. Like, I'm not, the rate is the rate. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not available. So that's true. People are taking these bookings for way under the rate.
Some of these requests are a joke. It's like, they want you to bring equipment. They're like, I need you to bring equipment, and here's basically like $2. Like, it's a joke. I'm like, these people are serious. They really want me for 4 hours for like pennies.
Yeah, I got a 4-hour request pool party. I was like, how much? $250. I'm like, bro, I'm not your DJ.
Oh,
I'm
great.
not-
I've seen even less than that. I've been seeing some of the like 150 ones that come in through like one of my agencies, and I'm like,
For 4 hours?
absolutely not.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
For
Yeah, it's
4
crazy.
hours and bring your equipment.
They've halved all our fees in London, everything. So like normally the industry standard rate, and I'm talking about money here, I'm like quite transparent about it. The industry standard in restaurants and bars is £300. Okay. They've dropped all our fees to £185.
Wow.
So, and that's for 5 hours. No, for 4 hours. It's like, yeah, it's a 4-hour shift. It's ludicrous. And then if they want you to do the 5 hours, it's like 230 or something. It didn't even make sense in math. So you're just kind of like, oh man, like what? And they're like, oh, it will change in July. It will change in July. And now this lockdown announcement's happened. I bet you ain't gonna change in July.
Yeah. Well, I
Oh
think
my
they're
God.
playing off of people's being locked in the house, and maybe they're thinking that
Desperate.
they're still more desperate, and then maybe they want to like play a little pity. But I'm like, me personally, I'll be honest, and I'm with you, AK. Through the pandemic, if I did one thing, it was I learned what my value is. And I'll be honest,
Yep.
the moment you can DJ a Zoom party and you have literally 5 people just staring at the screen, but you manage to get them dancing and it becomes like literally the most fun party you've ever been, you're like, I must be doing something right. I must be
Yeah.
okay at what I do. And it definitely makes you appreciate what you do. And also just the amount of effort that it takes to get people that you aren't looking at to dance, just people on a screen, or like, you know, even doing podcasts or doing stuff like that where you have to grab an audience's attention. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and the equipment is not, you know, cheap, and it's just a lot of time, energy. And what the pandemic made me realize is I need to charge accordingly, and that there are different clients and there's people who are going to be willing to pay that price and the people who have a budget. And I say this all the time, but it's really a matter of just understanding what your worth is and not taking these lower gigs, because there's going to be other people that are going to take it, and the client is going to say, well, I found somebody to take it. And literally my response is good luck.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Shorty gave me
Bye-bye.
Literally.
Yeah.
Shorty gave me the best quote ever, and it was saying no to them is saying yes to you.
Oh,
And
right.
that is the best thing
Yeah.
I've learned like
I'm
all
writing that
year,
down.
because like
Yeah.
literally, because now I'm just like at that point too where I can pick and choose which gig I want to take, and I've never really had that in my entire life, you know?
Right.
Right.
And I'm just like, oh, you don't want hip hop, or oh, I can tell you're going to be a pain in the ass and request
Oh
every
my
30
God.
seconds. I'm not taking this gig. I don't need this money, you know, because I'm saying yes to me because you're just going to stress me out.
Oh my God. Oh
Or
my
even
God.
like, you know, podcasts and stuff like that I said I would always do for people, you know, and then I like get all caught up, and it's like just saying yes to too many people. And now I'm learning like, nah, you know, you don't really need to do that, you know?
Yeah.
Amen.
So
to
true.
that.
Seriously, I had a booking with somebody was like, yeah, they were gonna go with another DJ, but I put your name in the hat. And I said, oh, okay, thank you. You know, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for referring me. And I asked a couple preliminary questions. And mind you, this is like the middleman. I don't like to do middleman business. I always want to talk directly to the client. And they're like, well, I don't know the questions to all of that. I'm like, well, maybe you should put me in connection with the person that actually wants to book me so I can talk directly to them, because it's a lot of back and forth. You know what I'm saying? And I can't just throw a number out, because I need to work smarter, not harder. So
Yep.
I'm not going to throw the number
Yep.
out first, and then later on the back end, you're like, oh, I need all of the Czechoslovakian dance music that you have. It's like, I'm definitely going to have to pay for that. And now I've already quoted you a price and it's not included. So then it's like, yeah, but I just want to say again that they were thinking of another DJ, but I suggested you book the other DJ then.
You're wasting my time already. Like, you know what I
That
mean?
doesn't mean I'm going to give you a discount because you're considering another DJ. Go with the person that
Yeah.
fits your needs, because I'm not the budget DJ anymore.
Best of luck with your event. That's what I said. Good luck with you, Gus. You know, that's all you can say. And you know what? And honestly, you know, secretly in our heads, we're just like, man, I hope that DJ bombs. So really, you're just like, hey, I hope it's super great. Like, but you know, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
if they happen to come across that one DJ that's good and they got for a great weight, good for them. Chances are that's not the case. But what we've just done is open the door so that we can book a client that's going to value us for that day. And I think that's the kind of way you have to do it, to look at it. And even if you don't book the day, you have a day off, which is time for yourself.
Yes.
And most clients don't understand that a lot of times when you're getting a DJ that doesn't charge as much, you literally are getting what you pay for, because the DJs that are going to be good, that are going to have the industry standard gear, that are going to show up on time, that are going to walk your venue before you get there and cross all the T's and dot the I's, are the more expensive DJ. So
Right.
you literally are going to get what you pay for. They're going to show up, not have all the gear. It's not going to sound good. Like, there's so many other things that I think live music people plan these expensive. It's expensive to plan good events. They
Right.
do all of this stuff, and we're the afterthought. It's like you can't have a party without us. You couldn't even have a dry party and
Yeah.
it still be a party if you got a poppin' DJ. If you don't have us, there is no party.
Yeah. You make or break it. That's for sure. And it's so true. And even look, since we're working for QSC right now, I mean, we can even use that as an analogy. When you're using equipment, more expensive equipment sounds better without question. Like if you go with a cheap $200 piles, I mean, that's shout out analysis. Sorry, I don't mean to shout out the thing, but pieces of garbage, if you will, that you can find on Amazon for $200 or whatever.
Yeah.
It sounds exactly like the name implies. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. But when you go and you buy QSC and it's a great quality product that you've spent money on, it sounds different. The clients notice, you notice, and it makes you have to bring less equipment because you get so much more for your money.
Right.
Even though you spend a little more for it, your back is saved. It's so much worth it. So, QSC, their products have made my clients. And you can look at my reviews where the client's like, she sounded amazing, she looked amazing, and that sounding amazing is because I'm using products like QSC that I spend a little more money
And
for.
they look good as well.
And they look good. And you can throw those bad boys. I don't recommend it, but everybody's had those ones. You can throw that bad boy down at a stair, and there's a good chance it's still going to work. And it's probably not even going to dent. And, it's just like, but that's worth the money. Whereas if you have one of these cheaper things, it's done and whatever. So it matters when you're planning. It matters when you're buying equipment, and it just matters. And also in terms of having a DJ that actually cares about what they're doing and is going to be able to put on a show, and it makes a huge difference. And it's crazy just where people's priorities have gone and their expectation levels. And just like you said, Anna, people want so much more than what they're willing to pay for.
Oh my God.
I need 9 hours and I need you to project the dinosaur on the screen that comes to life. And there's a fire that comes out of the nose and I need fire. And if there's no fire,
Wow.
it's ridiculous. It's crazy. But I
got you all that for $75.99.
Absolutely.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I refuse
you guys-
to make 70. Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
Have you ever looked in? Do you guys have Fiverr?
Yeah.
So when I was like looking at prices on how to like price myself correctly, I was like looking at Fiverr, and some people are doing podcasts for £7. Sorry, what? And you kind of think you're ruining everyone's education that they've had for years and years and years. They've studied for years, and you're doing your. And so anyway, I had this client, and her first sound designer was somebody she used on Fiverr. She sent it to me. She's like, "Can we use this? Because it's already kind of edited." Mate, he just threw a denoiser on this thing, and it just squashed the sound. It sounded so shit, and then went, "There you go. Put track on the intro and the outro. There you go. There's your £7." I was like, "Are you fucking crazy?" And she ended up spending like I think 150 on him because he was like, "Oh, for this add-on you have to pay this for that." So that's how they get you. It says £7 on the thing, and then afterwards it's like for anything over 10 minutes you have to add £20, and then literally so and so on. So when I was looking at it and I was looking at all the different ones on Fiverr, I was like, are these any good? And there's this big YouTuber, and he does graphic design, and what he did is he booked one really expensive person from Fiverr that was like £1,000, somebody that only did $5, and then one that did 25, and he tested it. He was like, let me see if I can guess which one's which. It was really, really clever to see like the quality of each sound dependent. And then he decided, I think he got like the one that was really expensive, he thought was like the medium price, and the one that was medium price was really good. So it was amazing, guys. I need to find out what the name is, but it was great. It was great content to watch and see the quality.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
No,
I'm going to message my partner and find out what it's called, and then at the end I'll just put it in the chat here so you guys can check it out. But it's really, really clever.
Yeah, sure. But and that's great that you said to talk about price comparisons too, because I wanted to talk about that too, because on the opposite end of that, I've had some interesting calls lately with people to where they're like, yeah, I've called a bunch of other companies, and I was talking to some guy, and he was charging me like $5,000 for the wedding, and what they needed versus that $5,000 price point. I'm like, what are they bringing? Like, are they bringing actual dragons? Right? It's a price point and everything like that. But I really was like asking all these questions because I'm like, how did they get to that price point versus where my price point is? I mean, it's not the cheapest price point, but I'm not quite at 5,000. I mean, I can if you get the right add-ons, but you're going to have a pretty you're going to have some stuff with you there. So it's amazing what some people are charging, and that's bare minimum their rates. And they're just like, hey, this is lights, this is them on the microphone, and they're just pricing themselves at that. And it's just amazing what some people in this industry are charging on both spectrums. So it's really important to do your due diligence.
And it affects us all as well.
Yeah.
Because then they'll expect. I had an incident actually, which is unfortunate. I signed to a new agent back, I think it was 2019, and they had this new client, and they were like, "Look, he's a new client. We want to get him. Can you do the first month this price?" And I was like, "That's ridiculously low." And I was like, "Do I do it because they're my new agents and just like take one for the team? Do it for the month and then up it? Yeah, okay, all right, fine, I'll do it." Then I get this message from my other agent, like, which I'm not affiliate. Like, we can have various agents. I'm not sure the same with you guys, but yeah, you can have a few. And then he messages me and he's like, I've got this gig. It's like £450 at this venue. And I was like, that's not like the venue that the other. So what he was doing, what this venue was doing, it was getting price comparisons from all these agents. And he put me forward for a job at 400 quid, and my other agent put me forward for the same job for 130 quid or something stupid. So they went, why can we get Jayli for 400 quid from this agent and 130 from this agent? And they were like, we'll just go to the 130 one because she's the same DJ. Anyway, the other agency went friggin' crazy. They were like, what the fuck are you doing? Somebody at your caliber now, they think they can get every DJ at that caliber for £130. And I was like, it was my new agent, and I had to because I didn't want to piss them off. And I was like, I'll take one for the team. I was only going to do a month. In the end, had to freaking lose the agent.
Yeah, it's amazing, and that's so, and you never know what client is willing, and that's a very good example. You don't know who's willing to pay what, so never shoot low. I mean, don't sell yourself low ever.
Yeah, my mistake.
Yeah, you have to be reasonable. And I've learned, and I used to be the exact same way where I would totally say, and I make the mistake now sometimes too. I mean, I'm learning for sure that definitely ask questions, like AK was saying, ask questions, gauge before you send those price points out.
I always ask them what their budget is.
Yeah.
Then I know what they're looking to spend, and then I know what price. I'm already like, you know what, your budget isn't where I want. And then that even saves me a whole email of like going back and forth with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I even take it as far as saying an email that has like my starting price and say, here's what my price starts for this kind of event. So if that starting price works for you, then let's talk about it. If you have a budget, we can maybe talk about it, but this is what you're kind of expecting. And that most people will either tell you, I can't afford that, or sometimes they'll come at you and say what their price is. A lot of times they'll meet you, but I've been pleasantly surprised with people who are like, oh yeah, for sure. Like, let's do it without asking any questions. And I recently, I had to raise my rates throughout the pandemic, because I just had so many events that were postponing, and my availability was so limited that I'm like, I have to charge a little more to make sure that I'm getting the right clients. But to my surprise, nobody, it hasn't been questioned. I've been still booking gigs. I mean, of course you have people who push back and they're like, yeah, no, but the people who truly value me are willing to pay that, and then some without question. So, I mean, it's just been a learning thing for me, is that, if you really just stick your ground and
people value great service. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm doing a wedding for a couple, and mind you, this is my childhood's best friend, like her cousin, right? So I already knew going into this, I'm not going to make any money off this wedding because I'm not really charging them anything. Also, the girl, the fiance, the bride, her son got killed during the pandemic. So I'm like, I'm not charging them. I'm not making any money. This is a labor of love, right? So I quoted them a price, and I said, if you guys are having trouble paying it, now I'm not doing this for every client, but this is what I'm doing for them. If you guys are having trouble paying it, let me know. We can set something up. You can just pay me as you get it. Don't stress about it. We left it at that. I still did my one-on-one with them. I still went through the whole paperwork, the whole questionnaire. I went and saw the venue. I did everything that I would normally do. Didn't change the service. And then I was like, I got this Zelle payment, $500 more than what I quoted them. without even asking me. I'm like, was this an accident? And he's like, no, I just wanted to give you that. I know you quoted me this price. I appreciate it, but I know that you're a good DJ. You've been so professional, and I just really want to show you how much I appreciate you even going that low for me. So that was dope. Like, it was, I don't know, it just reminded me, people will pay for good service, and people do know the difference of quality service. They do know it.
And
I just did, sorry.
No, go ahead, Anna. Go ahead.
No, I just DJ'd my first ever baby shower. And it was two lesbians too. It was the cutest thing because I had no idea what to expect. And same thing, the gig came in through a mutual friend. They didn't have like a huge budget, but I was like, whatever, it's a Sunday, like whatever. And I get there, they end up loving me. They booked me for an extra hour, and then the same kind of thing. They gave me an extra $500 on top of what they already paid me, and it was like, it was just like dope because they appreciated the service.
Yeah.
And then they were literally like, "Can we be friends and hang out sometime?" Like, it was the cutest thing. It was just like all these older lesbians, all grown up. We had the best time.
That's so fun. That's actually a learning lesson for any new DJs out there, or maybe even some DJs with their price point, is that, because I have a story like that too. Actually, shout out, I guess it's been so many years I can shout them out at this point, but shout out to Major League Baseball. They were actually an amazing client. I worked for them. I did the All-Star game for them a few years back. And at the end of the night, when they handed me the check, the lady who paid me handed me the check, and she goes, "Hey, just so you know, next time you call us, or next time we call you, charge more." And she handed me the check, and she literally whispered that in my ear. Why? I was working with two male DJs, and I in my opinion, think I underpriced myself in comparison to those DJs. So as like a woman to woman thing, she came, handed me the check, and literally whispered that in my ear, and kind of kept it moving. And it was, I don't want to get anybody trial. I don't know if she worked for Animal, but it was just, it happened to be the All-Star game. I don't know who she was, whatever, but she's amazing. So don't ding the lady for doing it if you're watching for some reason. But that was a huge life lesson. Yeah. It was her telling me that. And when she said that to me made me, every time I price somebody, that goes in my head is next time quote more. And that's like exactly what she said when she placed the check in my hand. And I thought I was quoting great. That was like one of my higher paid gigs. I was like, thought I was balling, and to get that, I'm like, wow, I guess that tells me something. So that's a lesson to DJs out there, especially female DJs out there. Like, confidently price yourself, because no offense to the guys out there, but these guys they're confidently pricing themselves, and sometimes
absolutely
skills to back it.
And they're getting their rate.
Yeah,
and they're getting their rate.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely interesting. But and hey, those baby showers, they can be fun, and people make fun of me because I do that all the time. But I'm telling you, some of those events can be the most fun stuff you can imagine.
I had the best time. I had so much.
They're having a boy or a girl?
I think they were having a girl. Yeah.
Oh.
And they already had a little one, and all the parents there all had their little kids. So I was letting all the kids come up, and I was teaching them how to backspin, or hit the air horn button on my controller. Oh my God, they were loving it. I was letting all the kids play, and so then they loved it even more.
That's wow.
Put the little headphones on them. It's so cute.
That's so cute.
You got to be careful though. Sometimes the kids get out of hand. I let a kid do that the other day, and then next thing you know, every 5 minutes they came and were touching my things, and I'm like, "Stop it!"
Oh well, yeah, because then when you also let them hit the air horn, they don't realize that when you switch back to cue points, and then they start your song all over.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
yeah,
that's so, and you got to play it off like you meant to do it. Oh, right.
How are you doing up there?
I just hate when people touch the turntables when you're in the middle of a mix, and you're just like, why would you do that if you're on vinyl mode? You're just knocks everything out, and you're just like,
oh my God.
At least like MCs aren't like big into that anymore. Because like when I first started DJing, I was in the rave scene, and it was just like they always want to come up and cut the volume and talk, and like, thank God that's not really a big thing anymore.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that must have been super annoying.
Oh my God. And it's like you're trying to mix, and their hand is here, and they're off beat. They're cutting at the wrong time, and you're just like, all right.
And then every second I feel like you're doing it. That's funny because they look at you like, oh, wow, way to go. That's so funny. I've taken to when people come close to my turntables, it's instantaneous that my arm goes up. If they're talking from the front, I'm like, literally,
Heisman. You want an automatic Heisman?
Yeah, I'm always. And now during the pandemic, even still, it's like I'm leaning 6 feet further. I'm like, hey, like, let's go. Even if my headphone cable is like stretching, I'm doing what I got to do. It's happened too many times. That's hilarious. But I mean, that's the beautiful thing about our career is like no matter how long you've been in this, I think it's always a constant learning experience. And I mean, hey, the pandemic, we all learned something during this pandemic. If anything, I think we had at least a year to sit back and reevaluate and learn something, and take those skills that we learned and move them into our everyday careers. You know what I mean? I mean, me personally, I think that the pandemic made me, like I was saying earlier, a stronger DJ. I had to learn quickly. I was not very strong on vinyl before the pandemic. And because, vinyl sells and it just looks better on camera, I quickly had to learn vinyl. And I actually booked a virtual gig where they required it. And I learned, and now I'm a whiz on it, and I actually prefer it, and it's great. And like my skills have just amped up so much more because of it. And, and it's crazy to.
Did they tell you why they were requiring vinyl? Was there like was it like a theme, or they just wanted it?
Well, it was there. Actually, Anna, you were there. It was a thing where we were recording a live streamed thing for
prison.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
We had a built-in setup that was turntables.
Oh, so okay. Got it.
So I hadn't been on vinyl in years. And so I showed up thinking I was going to do it. And I quickly realized, I'm like, my God, I had no idea what I was doing. So then I was like sweating. And I'm sure like, Anna, if I was weird that day, it's because I was fronting and I just had no idea. So I went home and I'm like, I'm
pretty sure we did like shooters of Jameson too. I was like, we were just trying to calm down.
Yeah. And it was like right in the pandemic had just started. So we were still weird about being around people. It was like a whole thing. We were doing our best. But after that, I came home, and then shout out to Shorty too. Like she was there on Zoom and like taught me. She's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. This is how you do. So so I I'm a whiz right now. And now I have that added skill set too, to where if a client wants, because some people want turntables. They feel like it looks more than using a controller. You know what I mean? As much as a controller can look cool and everybody's like, whoa, blinking lights. Some people want that. So now it's that added skill set that if you want it, I'm like, cool, it's that much more for me to carry. So it's going to be a little more, but I have that and it's a cool thing to offer. And digitally speaking, people want to see that when they have a DJ. So for my home setup, I think it works really good for that.
I never realized either, even being a turntablist, because like once I moved to LA, like I had never even touched a controller before. And I moved out here and it was like all my residencies had controllers. So I had to learn real quick. But if you ever played on CDJs, what's up?
I said controllers, not even CDJs.
Not even CDJs, straight up controllers. Whoa. And so it's the same as playing on CDJs. It's really not much different, looks the same, Pioneer, everything.
I'm so weird on CDJs. I don't know what it is.
I love CDJs.
I don't like them. They're not my friend. I can play on them, but I feel like it's not it's not a flow. Like
I played on them last week and
very
I was
robot.
like,
10 man on the CDJs.
I played on some like last week, and it's been forever because I've either been on controllers or turntables, and I was like, oh my God, the like beat just stays on, like your pitch just stays on perfectly. It's so nice. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. Anyways, next.
No, you were talking about, so you're right though. So yeah, in LA, it depends on where you go. In LA, they do built in. So here in Los Angeles, instead of showing up to turntables, you show up to a DJ controller, so like a DDJ SX. I don't know if they do that in London over there at all, but here,
we've got the RX2s, the Pioneers, pretty much in every club now because they're not going to be £8,500 for CDJs. They just buy the RX2s. It's about 1,500. But you know what? In lockdown, being sent like Denon and then Roland, I was working with as well. It's like literally driving a different car. You have to relearn things, and you're just like. Okay, and it took me out of the box, and I feel like now if I rock up and it's a different controller, I'm like, cool, what do I have to learn? Cool, that's there, wicked, okay, I'm ready to go, let's go. You know what I mean? It's like it's made me. And the good thing about Denon is what they were doing is they were sending me Prime 4, Prime 2, try all these like different controllers, and then the Rolands on Serato, and I started with Tractor back in the day. No, I was CDs, and then I went to Tractor, and then I went to Serato, and then I went to USBs. So I'm like, it's a good broad spectrum of being able to play everything. And I think this is when I teach DJs. I'm like, I wish you could learn on CDs because it's as pure as anything. And then if you can DJ on CDs or vinyl, you can DJ on anything. Yeah, that's my motto. So it's good because then you can play on anything. You can just rock up and go and quickly just learn where the gear stick is. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
I never really realized though that that's what I was thinking or going to say before is that turntables are such a look. And like my one residency right now, like one of the turntables is even broken. And because we're right on the water, so like the salt in the air is just corroding the shit out of everything. But it's like the nights that I play on the turntables, like people just go crazy versus like if I bring a controller, they're like, no one cares. People don't even, I find they don't even like dance as much. Like it's such a different vibe. And even as, like I said, as a turntablist, 22 years, I never even realized the difference. You know what I mean? Because to me, I'm still playing the music, but yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I definitely have a newfound appreciation for equipment in general since the pandemic. And, the thing is that with vinyl versus controllers and everything in between is, weight and mobility makes a difference. So when you're talking about, turntables and a mixture that's 3 moving parts, you got to worry about calibrating and all this other crazy stuff that you just don't have to worry about when it comes to a controller. Like you just take the controller, plug it in, make sure you got the right cables, and you're good to go. So, I mean, in terms of ease and convenience, you cannot beat it. So I think that, that's exactly why we see,
unless you don't have the correct driver, then that's a whole nother situation.
I'm sure we all have horror stories for a date. I mean, that's why you always test the equipment. Yeah, always test the equipment. Make sure you're working before you show up. But yeah, definitely. I mean, what you use is important, and it totally makes a difference. So I mean, that's what we were saying earlier, is just making sure that we have the right equipment and that we are set to go to make sure we can do the best we can and not break our backs while doing it, and I mean, and that's it. But, it looks pretty. Vinyl looks pretty and it sounds good. And, I'm not, honestly, you can't beat that feel. And when you're scratching too, it makes a huge difference. But I've learned, you just got to learn to accommodate and kind of do what you can and kind of work. But it is what it is. And clients don't know any better for the most part. If they see blinking lights, they're cool. They're like, hey, look, blinking lights. So, I mean, I get it all the time where they're like, look at the lights on your controller. So funny. Awesome. Well, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. We're winding down, getting closer to the end of the hour. So we had a really good conversation. I'm so excited to have all of you here and also to get input from like all over the world too, to see what it's like in London and to see that the DJ world isn't much different over there than it is here. I mean, that's, yeah. It was so interesting too, to hear you talk about, what you're getting paid in bars and everything like that. Cause I mean, it's so similar. And when you see things on social media and you see things like you have this image of it being something completely different. And I think that's what causes us all to have like imposter syndrome, and you're seeing everybody else and you're like, oh, why are they doing that? And are they getting paid this and this? But in reality, we're all doing the same thing. And that's why it's important. I mean, we're not doing the same thing. We're doing similar things in our own way, but we're all DJs. We're all in the same industry. And I mean, it's super important to make sure that we figure out a way to level out these prices to make sure we can all get what we're worth. You know what I mean? I mean,
I was a rock star in the chat. He said his sound is QSCK2 and it's the best. Right on. You're darn straight, Rockstar.
I will say as well, like one of the best things that came out of this pandemic as well is the camaraderie of the DJs now. Like I feel like before there was always like kind of a bit of like a battle between people, and like it was kind of like, this is my gig and like I don't want to share my stuff with people and this and that. And now it's like the DJs have come together closer than ever before. Yeah. And it's like people that, I knew before probably weren't my favorite person ever, I wasn't their favorite person, but are handing me gigs like, here you go. You know what I mean? Like we all got closer, and like, especially the females, I did notice that like there was this like emails and chats and, all sorts of like live streams that we all kind of like just, had each other's back. And it was like, oh, you own this company as like a side business. Like I cook part-time. People were like, that don't even eat vegan, gluten-free food, were like ordering food from me, like just to support. And it was like, it was so crazy to see the camaraderie come around with the DJs. And even now it's like such a family. And then like a couple weeks ago, I played a gig and this girl was like super, I don't know, just kind of being a bitch and like trying to talk down to me. And I'm just like, all right, man, I've been doing this for too long to like have that like attitude. And it was like shocking to me because I was like, I haven't felt this since way before the, pandemic, because I felt like everybody got closer. Mm-hmm. But to like feel that competition vibe, I was like,
oh, this was another DJ.
Yeah.
Oh,
totally. Not everybody learned during the pandemic, though. I mean, if anything, you learned who the real true people were, and who were just like cutthroat. And I mean, and listen, this industry, you need to ask for help sometime. There's only but so much of us to go around. And also, one thing that I've learned too is that not everybody is at the same place. So some people are willing to work for a little less. Yep. And you can, if you're a good business person, you can work it out so it works out for both of you. So you can, maybe work at yourself as an agent, and maybe, if you can figure out a way to charge gigs, maybe the client is willing to pay a little less than you would charge, but you can still make something because the other DJs, I mean, there's ways to share the love and meet everybody where they are, but also not undercutting so much that you have a difference of like 400 versus 100. You know what I mean? Like that is a crazy difference, but
there's room for everyone in this world. That's what I always say. That's one thing that somebody said to me. She was like, in London, she's like, you're the only DJ that doesn't mind sharing your gigs. And I'm like, why the hell not? Why wouldn't you? When I have
There's enough for all of us. Like we all can eat.
And I remember one time
exactly
when I was a kid. Well, I went to a stage school when I was really young, and I remember there was this audition happening. I must have been about 17, and I walked in early in the morning, and I told everyone, I was like, guys, there's this audition. We all need to go for it. It's going to be amazing. And then some girl pulled me to the side. She went, what the fuck do you think you're doing? I was like, what? She's like, I was going to go for that audition, and I just told the whole class, and now the chances are less. And I was like, babe, if it ain't going to be you, it'll be somebody else. Like, it should be everyone gets a chance, And I never understood it. And there are people like that. It just doesn't make sense. There's room for everyone.
Right. Yeah. And, life is so much better when you look, and I get it. As a DJ, it's a competitive thing. It's an image-driven industry. We're all comparing to each other. But I will tell you from experience, when you learn to let that go and you learn, just like we were saying before, that there is enough work for all of us, and it is better to have other DJs on your side and to be friends with them. And when you can't do a gig, to have them, or maybe a gig is outside your realm, but maybe they want a super crazy turntablist. I would go to Annalyze, versus me. I'm like, I can do a little bit, but if you want somebody who's like, whatever, that's the person versus, somebody who might not do a wedding and might throw it to me because, everybody knows I'll do the YMCA if I got you. I got no problem with that. So, it is what it is, but it's knowing people's strength and doing their thing. And it is what it is. But definitely understand that there's enough work to go around. And that's I love ending on this topic. And that's where we're going to kind of wrap things up on is just be friends, community over competition, 100%. But also know not everybody wants to be your friend. So just like Annalyze had a really good point. Not everyone wants to be your friend. So definitely gauge it easy. You can be friendly, but if somebody does you dirty, not everybody's worthy of the generosity. So move on, find other DJs that are willing and able and who aren't going to undercut you and do those crazy, dirty things. Because there are DJs who will show up for you. They'll do the job. They will tell the client they're working for you. They will gladly let you take your cut. They won't ask any questions. They understand how the game works. I have some amazing DJs that work for me, and they are awesome, and I completely trust them. And, I've had some that work for me that don't work for me anymore because, they just weren't everything I needed in terms of that. But, just know where your place in this industry and you will go far is the best advice that I can personally give. But with that being said, I'd like to end with everybody kind of giving their little nuggets of wisdom. We have some amazing DJs here. And I just want to shout out, first of all, the viewers. You guys all had some amazing comments on there. I didn't get a chance to shout you guys out that much because we were into the conversation, but a lot of agreeers. We had some people, shout out to Rockstars from Trinidad and Tobago over there. We have a lot of people shouting out QSC. So thank you all so much for all of that. Let's end. We have a lot of people shouting. AK-47, because I'm looking at you. Let's start with you.
Yeah, I don't really have any words of wisdom. This was a dope panel. In honor of Pride, I don't know if you guys know about Jayli. We have this thing called Dinah Shore that is back on for the ladies, and your girl is in a DJ contest.
Hey,
Dinah!
Hey.
Okay. It's lit.
That's awesome. Well, if you go, let me know. I'll be there. I'll be in the pool.
Oh, I'll be there. She's in the contest. I will be there.
You go, girl. I love that. That's awesome. I got to check that out. I have not been to Dinah in quite some time, but I have been there before.
30th anniversary.
What is it this coming year?
Yeah, this year in September, it's going to be the 30th anniversary of Dinah. So it's going to be freaking amazing. The contest is going to be so dope, and I'm just so excited to be a part of it.
So are we going to go, Keelez?
I'm there. Hey, just let me know. I'll book the room right now.
Yeah.
Actually, I got a condo in Palm Springs, girl. Call me. I got
all right.
That's a different conversation, though.
We'll take the weekend off.
Hey, let's do it. I'm there. That's awesome, AK. Well, congrats to you. I'm sure you're going to kill it. That's awesome. That's great news. Good. I love it. All right. So, Jayli, let us know a few final words on your part.
Oh, my God. Thinking on my toes right now. Don't be afraid to start and to keep going. I feel like a lot of people, a lot of my students, they're so amazing, and they inspire me every single day with all the music that they find. And I'm like, how do you find this music? This is great, because I can find this. This is dope. There is room for everyone in this world. So if you want to start being a DJ, start. Like, just pick a turntable up and start playing. There's so many studios in the UK. There's one called Pirate Studios. You can go down there. You can rent it for the day. I think it's like £35 for like half a day or something to go, and they've got like CDJs and vinyls there to have a little spin. So yeah, just start. You have to start. I started in my bedroom, and what I would do is I'd turn up to the club and I'd watch DJs, like walk with them and just be like, watch what they were doing. And I learned so much that way of learning to DJ. And be friends with everyone. Literally. Yeah.
That's so true. That's so true. I love it. That's great advice. Awesome. I love the way you said just get it started. That is so true. I mean, and that's what I tell myself literally, because even still, I've been doing this for over a decade. I still get nervous before gigs. And what I tell myself is all you have to do is get started, and eventually you'll be finished. But you just have to get started, and then all those nerves will go away and you know you're fine. But just those first few songs, it's always the hardest.
And I always feel like you are always as good as your last gig.
Right.
This is something somebody told me that once, and I was like, that's very true. So sometimes when I'll play, I wasn't feeling it that day. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to try and do it this way next time. And, you always have room for improvement, even if you have been doing it, etc.
Yeah. No, and that's so true. And I would actually add to that too, because I used to have a bad habit of focusing on all the bad things I did on the event without focusing on the positive as well. So what I would say is take note of the bad things and the things you need to fix, but also mentally note the good things and give yourself that grace and gratitude. Like, because sometimes you might do a bad transition and the crowd doesn't even realize, but you're stuck on it. And I used to do that all the time. Yeah. And you like clear your dance floor, but the crowd didn't even realize that they were getting drinks. They didn't even care that much. And then at the end of the night, you're getting high fives, but you forget about those high fives at the end of the night. And all you focus on is the fact that you cleared that dance floor for that one moment. So definitely note what cleared your dance floor so you don't do that again. But also note what made that crowd give you high fives so that you can still do that. So it's twofold.
And also note that you were on time, and also note that you took the time to prep the music, and also note that you were nice to the person that booked you's best friend from Girl Scouts. Like, all of those things matter too.
Absolutely. It's a whole thing. Yeah.
Preparation is key as well. That's one thing I always learn the language of your music. Know how long your intros are. Learn how long your outros are. Know if you need to make a loop there. Like, if you don't know the record, that can get you into real trouble. So,
It saves you so much stress too to be prepared. And I mean, I know we were talking about this a little before when it comes to Twitch. Preparing those sets saves you the time to have to not necessarily worry about what you're playing next. You can focus on the chat and do your thing, but still switch it up. And same when it comes to live gigs. You can prepare to an extent, still switch it up, but it saves you that stress of having to like search for the song and you're sweating and now you got 30 seconds left, and by the grace of God, you get that last thing in there. I mean, we've all been there. So
actually, that's one thing to add I wanted to say is that like the whole fee thing is people think they're only paying for the event. They're not just paying for the event. They're paying for the preparation of you actually having to plan the gig and get it right. And that's a whole other day in itself.
Yes.
So when you are booking a DJ, remember that they are going to be spending a day and the gig to be able to prep your gig.
That's so true. And I would say too, and I used to price myself hourly, and I'm veering away from hourly pricing and setting a set price because a 4-hour gig does not take me 4 hours. It's there, but it's set up breakdown, it's prep.
You're going to the storage to get the gear, then you're prepping the music, then you might have to look at the venue, you might have to go back to the venue. It's like never ending story.
Absolutely. Sometimes you have the client texting you and you're dealing with all this back end stuff and you're giving, so it's absolutely factor that into your pricing for sure. Absolutely. All right. Annalyze. You have any gems for the people watching?
Yes. Practice as much as you can and don't take anything personally. That's pretty much it. I think that's what's got me through all of this. Cause somebody could just be having a bad day, whether it's a promoter, booking agent, or somebody that comes at you and then like 5 minutes later will apologize. So if you start, taking it internally, then, it can mess up your flow, as a musician when you're playing, So
practice thing. Listen, when I tell you I learned that so hard during this pandemic, like that is key. The practice, I feel like the longer you do it, for me, myself, the more comfortable I think I was getting. Like I got it, but
even 10 minutes a day.
Yeah, the
Even if
amount of
it's
practice
just-
it significantly improved.
I got this
my
thing with
DJing.
Shorty going on right now where it's like every day that I practice for 10 minutes, whether it's scratching or whatever, then I put a star on my like monthly calendar. And it's like, it's
and
so
you're 20
nice to
plus years
feel
in and you're still practicing. So
every day,
that
man.
you.
You have to. And
You know
it's
what?
like, you just have to. But I was just going to say, it's so rewarding at the end of the month to look and be like, oh, wow, I only missed X amount of days. I've practiced all these days, you know, and I've noticed a difference even in my scratching. Cause like I hit kind of a plateau for a bit. And now that I'm practicing again all the time, I'm like, oh shit, like starting to just do new things and things are just, you know, moving smoother.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're better than me. Ask Shorty how many times I've practiced. She'd be like, never. And you should ask her. It's a whole thing we fight about. That's what I like to be super busy, but I need to put myself first. And I agree with you 100%. And I need to give myself those 10 minutes. But thank you for reminding me of that because I am meeting with her after this. So she's going to yell at me because I was supposed to use that practice. It's a whole
Tell her
thing.
I said what's up.
But that's why I will. But this is why DJ mentors are important because they motivate you to do stuff like that. Because even a decade into the game or even longer, it's important to have those people. But Jayli, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, did you guys have an issue? Like, so when I did my first gig back at a club, like, well, it wasn't a club, it was a rooftop bar. I couldn't remember what to play next. I was like,
oh yeah,
what am I going to play? Like, what am I
I played a gig in Houston in January because I've been doing like club or like restaurant gigs. So I'm playing like chill, you know, mix of tropical house and with like R&B and stuff like that. And then when I got to like this club in Houston, there was like 2,000 people. And I'm like, literally I was frozen. I was like, I forgot what to play next. I made the opener or the other DJ that was like playing after me. I was like, do you think you can go on a little sooner? And he was like, no, figure it out. And I did. And I, you know, got out of like my head a bit, had a shot. You know what I mean? But I did. I like froze for a second. And we're talking like, for me, I'm 22 years of DJing, and it's like, yeah, I could do this with my eyes closed, but still, it was just like, I forgot, especially at that point too. Like I hadn't played like that kind of, you know, like that kind of hip hop in so long that it was just like, oh my God, you know.
You need the end of it. Like, oh my God, they keep hearing the same thing. Where is that freaking track? Where is
And I'm like on the Hercules the whole flight, like planning like, you know, certain mixes and this and that. But then once I got through all that, I was like just frozen. And normally it's the other way around. It's like you said, just get started and you can just find your flow. But I think because I was just like so dependent on like that playlist that night that, you know, it happens. And especially coming out of like retirement like this, or not retirement, but the, you know, the quarantine like this, it was just like shocking at first.
Oh yeah. I think we're all rusty. I know me when I did my first couple of gigs, I'm like, what am I even doing? What is this? Like like, even though I was DJing here, to have a crowd and everything in you was just so different. And you're just not used to just have to like paying attention to their vibe and like, wow, I got to mix out of the song. I'm losing them. Or like, you know what I mean? Just figuring out, oh, maybe I need to ride the song a little longer because these people just started singing it. And so it's like because, you know, virtually speaking, you can almost get away with mixing too long or too short because they don't necessarily know better and they're kind of vibing. But live, it's crucial to keep that dance going. So sure, it was a different vibe. 0 to 60. I mean, we were talking about that before. 0 to 60 for sure, but we're making it. Kris Cut, let's hear from you. Any gems?
Well, we were talking about fees and stuff. I think the best advice I have is make sure when you're charging a price, you accept a price you're happy with. Because if you don't get the price that you're happy with, you're going through this kick like, oh, I'm not happy. Like, oh, this is how much it pays. It really reflects. Like, I think that's really important. So for me, it's been like taking a price or quoting a price. And I go, you know, and if you don't get the gig, you're okay with it. I'm like, this is what I want to make for this gig. And if I don't get it, I'm okay. I'm just going to move on. And you don't take it too personally or take it bad if the client says that's too much or, you know, that kind of thing. Just make sure you are happy with whatever fee that you are getting for whatever event you are doing. It's pretty much. Yeah.
That's great advice. Don't take it personal too. I used to do that all the time, but you cannot take it personal because it's not a you thing. It's a client thing. The budget has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with what the client is valuing that event at. And so not everybody values you because you will have an event where they just care about the price tag, and you'll have an event where you come in and they're like, oh my God, you're DJ Keelez. I've heard so much. I'm so excited to see you play. And then you're like, you almost want them to calm down a bit because you're like, that's a lot of pressure. Like, I know you're excited to see me, but I just need you to like tone it down. So it's interesting, the different level, but the ones excited to see you are of course going to pay you more than the ones, you know, who just want to check the box of a DJ. So it's understanding the client and not getting your feelings hurt and going in prepped for that and saying this client might not be throwing accolades my way because they just want me to be in the corner DJing. And then you have other ones where you know it's going to go. Just set your expectations. And for sure, that's great advice. I totally agree 100%. Awesome. Well, you guys are amazing. I learned so much today. But before we go, somebody did. I'm playing with the pen. If you see me keep reaching, I shouldn't, but I talk with my hands. I'm trying to stop. But people in the chat box were asking how to find us all on social media. So I want us all to shout ourselves out. So I am at DJ Keelez. You can find me on social media. This is the hardest part, is figuring out how the hand thing goes. So this is bow at DJ Keelez on social media. I believe we have at the real DJ AK47. Is it at Jayli Music for you as well?
At Jayli Music, yeah.
Perfect. And we have, it's DJ Annalyze for you, right?
Yeah, all the way. There we go. Wait, hold on. There it is.
All right. There you go. Awesome.
It's just Annalyze. It's not DJ Annalyze. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Annalyze, I know I made that mistake the other day. I don't know who that person is, but but they aren't the real one.
No, it's funny. She's from literally like an hour from where I'm from. And it's like, really? You had to pick the name that close? Like, come on.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, whatever.
So at Annalyze, make sure you got the right one. At Annalyze. Yeah. Awesome. And then we have at DJ Kris Cut from Vegas. Shout out to our bullets and our Kris Cut fries out there. That's their Twitch fans. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much in the chat for participating. Again, I didn't get to really see a lot of you or repeat a lot of what you were saying, but I do see you, and you guys have some amazing things to share. So check out those comments if you did not get a chance to already. But we appreciate you, QSC, most of all. We appreciate you for giving us a platform and us DJs a chance to talk, especially the female DJs. We really appreciate that. Thank you all so much. Keep doing amazing things. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We will see you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Bye.